Whether it was a holding call or not, we break down the Eagles and the Chiefs game, which teams won't make the playoffs next year versus what teams will make the playoffs, the best QBs to fit the teams that need QBs, and more to come, guys. Stay tuned.
Been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
What is up, guys? That is definitely my dad singing. Welcome back to the Everything Goes podcast with your host, TAK, where the Chiefs beat the Eagles. Congratulations, big congratulations, winning the Super Bowl 38-35. But I think we have to start off the Super Bowl with Kris Stapleton nailing the national anthem, and tears.
Amen.
Tears were flowing out of people's eyes. Hey, will the NFL change their coaching process as far as hiring coaches before or after the playoffs? We'll dive into that. Is Patrick Mahomes a Hall of Famer if he retired right now with all of the awards that he has? And that's actually all I had. Don't know where the end was going with that. Guys, welcome back. Lots of free agent QBs we're going to talk about for different teams and who fits in what scheme and for what team. But welcome back to the Monday schedule. We just did a Friday episode, and now we're back on Mondays. How y'all doing? Happy Monday.
Whoop, whoop. I can't remember who we picked. I flip-flopped. I ended up going with the Eagles. I deserve to lose for flip-flopping.
I went for the Eagles too, yeah.
I took Chiefs, but you know what? I was glad it was a good game. It was probably one of the best, I don't know, say best Super Bowl. It was a really good Super Bowl. You know, The Eagles are now 1-3 in franchise histories in Super Bowls, you know. Chiefs are probably going to be the next, big thing since New England. So,
I
agreed too. It was such a high scoring game that I think that's what made it so interesting. Because I think of like the Rams and Patriots game where it was like 7-10 for like most of the game or whatever it was. Like defense is defense. I can't sound to that, but like that was a good game. That was a great game.
I think the highest scoring game was 75 points, and I think they just barely missed it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. That holding call, should we just dive into it?
I was going to say, do we just dive into it? What are your guys' thoughts on it?
Because they could have tied the game. Well, you never know what's going to happen, but it would have been nice to see them get a minute plus back.
I'll start because I don't know where Dad's going to go with this. I'm very curious, but I want to throw my opinion in there real quick before he gives that all professional talk real quick. I've watched the video a lot of times. I actually started to doze off during that part of the game, I'll be honest. Man, after watching it at real speed, after watching it slow-mo, I mean, I understand the Eagles' frustration. Like, if I was a fan, I would be frustrated. I don't know, there wasn't much time left on the clock, but 10, 15 seconds was third down and play. Remember when that ball wasn't even catchable? I think that's the major thing that the refs should have looked at. Remember that ball he wasn't getting that ball. The Eagles player, I forget what his name is, Bradbury, whatever. Congrats to him manning up to that. But I mean, if you look at that play, there's not much. There's not much. I mean, and I think just a game that big, and I'm not saying that, penalties happen all game, but I just think for the last 20 seconds of the game, I just think for a penalty to fly for not much, that's the kind of stuff I think we've seen all year. I mean, this coming from a Saints fan that missed a clear as day penalty, you know what I mean? But like, just something like that. Like, you look at that and you go, really? Like that? And it is what it is. The Eagles could have played better on defense. I mean, Jalen Hurts gave like literally everything he had in that game. But just in my opinion, that, I'm not saying it would have changed the game. I think the Chiefs still could have kicked the field goal, but that's definitely something that I look at. I'm like, there's no shot. But Ace, let's go your way, and then we'll let Boss.
I agree. And plus, there was a similar play earlier that they didn't really call either. So the refs weren't consistent. And what bugs me is that they have this all-star ref crew that they have no consistency. I think Kris might have brought that up before too.
Where's the guy in the booth? Where's the guy in the booth?
Well, and that crap, that stuff too. It's just it's frustrating because you don't know what a catch is. Devonta Smith, they took forever to review.
Yeah, man, that's tough too. Like, what even is a catch anymore? Like, I just think
Goddard's wasn't a catch.
I think if you catch the ball, and you got 2 feet on the ground, like this whole like having possession, like when does he have possession? If I caught the ball and it didn't touch the ground and it's not moving, it's a catch. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day. But that's frustrating.
So the holding call sucked. when I watched the replay in full time or like full speed, it didn't look obvious, I guess. So I was surprised it was called, but I don't know.
It's part of the script. It's part of the script, man. They have to throw it, you know.
Look, I look at it like this. First of all, Nick Sirianni, great job, second-year coach, got his team to the Super Bowl, 23-11 record. You know what? I don't really like the guy, but I applaud the fact that he came out and said that one play didn't cause us to lose this game.
That's true.
And I applaud the player who said he did hold him. If we are going to argue at when flags are going to get called, I mean, they let him play the whole game. If we put pressure on umpires to say, well, it's under 2 minutes, don't throw flags, that shit's going to hit the fan. Did he hold him? Absolutely, he held him. He grabbed his shoulder pad first, grabbed his waist second, and then hooked him third. He held him, clear as day. It's a penalty. And the thing is if it would have been called in the first quarter, they wouldn't have said nothing. If it would have been called in the beginning of the fourth quarter, no one would have bitched about it. It's the timing of when it was called. But you know what? I applaud it. Because what are you going to do next? You're going to take umpires off the field? You know, they're doing the same thing to baseball. They're bitching about balls and strikes. And guess what? Now we're going to have an umpire just stands back there and somebody else is calling the game.
What can a defender do before 5 yards? Because can't you
you have 5 yards. You have 5 yards to push.
And that was within I don't think you can hold a guy, but that was definitely within. I don't know what I guess I don't know what you can or can't do anyways. Well,
my thing is you can call a flag on every play if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You honest to God can throw a flag on every play. I think the thing that got him the most is he grabbed his jersey and hooked him. That's what prevented him from getting away from him and going for
I didn't see no hook. I didn't see no hook.
Yes, he did. Then you better watch it because the last thing he did is he grabbed him on the race and grabbed his jersey. And you know what? You can't deny it. He admitted to doing it. So it is what it is. But my thing is are the Eagles pissed off about it? Sure. But guess what? If it was on the other side of the play and it was Kansas City, you know what? Then they'll be upset about it. The problem is the timing of the call, and that's what no one likes, but I applaud it. I really do. Because you know what? At the end of the day, the Eagles' number one pass defense didn't show up. They left this team stay in this game. After they dominated the whole first half, they let this team stay in this game. The defense failed to stop 2 freaking plays where receivers were wide open for touchdowns. So you can't blame it on this. This flag did not cost the game. The kickoff cost them the game. The punt return cost them
the fumble.
Game.
Jalen Hurts fumble.
Where was the defense on that? You know, they got lucky. What about that other fumble they had for a touchdown? They got lucky they called that back because I tell you what, even the guy that's up in the booth that reviews them says that's pretty damn close to being a fumble.
Yeah, and I'm not sitting here. Yeah, I'm not sitting here saying that's the play that ended the game. And I'm not saying don't call flags in the 2-minute quarter. I mean, there's there's some stirring up in you. There must have been some Twitter battles today for you. But here's my thing. Like,
a lot of
I do agree. Jalen Hurts fumble cost them the game, you know, different things cost them the game. But just in my opinion, like when I looked at that play, I didn't see that there was enough, right? And that to me, I'm not talking specifically about this game anymore. Like I'm just saying, I think officiating has been terrible this year. But I do agree for all those Eagles fans that are salty. I don't think that play saves your game. I think the game's over still. You'd have 20 seconds left on the clock after they kicked the field goal. It would have been 4th down.
Listen to me. This is the first half comparison right here. The score was 24-14. The Eagles ran 44 plays, the 20 Chief plays. The Hurts and the Eagles had the ball for almost 22 minutes compared to 8 minutes for the Chiefs. 183 passing yards to 89, 87 rushing yards to 39. The Eagles have nothing to do but blame themselves. Where was the 70-plus sack defense? You didn't see nothing,
especially after Mahomes looked hurt.
Yeah, they had 0 sacks, I think, and
0 sacks.
Think about it. If they don't score that defensive touchdown, they're likely going into the half 24-7. That game, it's not over, obviously, but that is such a huge difference.
Yes.
But you listen to this. The Eagles had the ball 4 times in the second half, and the 4th one was when they had the 11 seconds left in the game. Okay? This is what the Chiefs did. 0 penalties, 0 turnovers, 0 punts, 0 sacks allowed, and 1 incompletion in the second half, which was a ball that was thrown out of the end zone. You got to say, look, where's my defense? Yep. My defense. That game should have been blown open. The Eagles should have been up by freaking, God, easily by 15 or more, easily. But no, now they're the second team to blow a 10-plus point lead in the Super Bowl.
I agree.
That's a good point. There weren't a lot of penalties called, but the ones that kind of came, I think there was a third down where they were trying to QB sneak it. The Eagles, one of the guys false started. There was a couple plays in the second half that, didn't help them. But again, the holding penalty did not cost them the game. There's too many things throughout the game.
I think it could have been worse. It could have been really, really bad. You could have had an officiating crew. How many holding penalties did we see? Hardly any. There could have been pass interference. There could have been so many things that could have ruined this game. But that one call is the one thing that's going to stand out because that's the one play that supposedly cost the Eagles the game. No, your defense cost you the game. Your special teams cost you the game. So at the end of the day, look, I applaud the Eagles. I think they had one of the best teams in football, and we said it way back when. But at the end of the day, you know what? It is what it is. It's over with. And you know what? Guess what? Now you got to sign. Now you got to sign your quarterback. Now you have to sign your quarterback, and you have 20 plus. You have 20 freaking free agents. Kelsey, Fletcher, Robert Quinn, Bradbury,
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That's why the Saints traded him.
Boston Scott, Miles Sanders. So now you got to sign your running back and your quarterback, who's probably going to get $50 million a year. Guess what? Things are going to be changed now. Things are going to be different.
Now let me ask you guys this question too.
Does he have 1 year left? Real quick, Jalen Hurts, 1 year left.
I think they can franchise tag him. I think they're working on an extension. I think that's what they're trying to do. Now, here's my question to you guys. Obviously, you guys would extend Jalen Hurts, right? After a Super Bowl game where he went 27 for 38, 304 yards passing, 1 touchdown pass, 3 rushing touchdowns, which tied Hall of Famer Terrell Davis for the record of 3 rush touchdowns at Super Bowl. I think you definitely. Now, here's the thing for the Eagles. I think you have to sign Hurts fast, and here's why. Lamar Jackson's still waiting to get paid. Justin Herbert's waiting to get paid, and Burrow's waiting to get paid. And if any of them get paid pretty high, besides Lamar, Hurts is going to come out and be like, listen, like, first year I took you to the playoffs. Now I take you to a Super Bowl. And he's a great player, and he deserves to get paid. But if you're an organization like the Eagles who has a lot of pieces to sign, you need to get this deal done quick before these guys start getting signed.
And guess what? Kansas City is in great shape. Kansas City has their quarterback under contract already. The Eagles have to figure out what they want to do with their secondary. They got to figure out what they want to do with their 2 running backs. They got to figure out what they want to do with some of their offensive linemen. Kelsey might be retiring. So $50 million is probably 17 to 20% of your salary cap right there.
Here's my hot take for next year. Not saying the Eagles will be bad. I do not think the Eagles will finish as they did this year. They're probably going to lose their defensive coordinator. He's interviewing for the Arizona head coaching opportunity. They're probably going to lose their offensive coordinator, who's finalizing probably a deal to be the Colts' next head coach. Like you said, they have a lot of defensive players that will be free agents. You got to sign your quarterback. That's a lot to overcome in a 1 year deal. You know what I mean? Like I just think of teams like the Rams who went to the Super Bowl with all that talent. The next year, what
we have to do, though, is we have to applaud the city of Philadelphia. The city of Philadelphia has become the first city to lose 3 professional sports championships in a span of 3 months. The Philadelphia Union of the MLS, the Philadelphia Phillies, and now the Eagles.
Wow.
That's right. Oh,
I love it. I love it.
Hey, at least you guys get there, though. Honestly, they're going to come with vengeance next year. Oh, everyone doubted us, whatever. You guys get there, okay?
What do you guys think? How you guys feeling about the Eagles with all of this on paper that we just talked about? Their head coach, not their head coach, their offense coordinator, their defense coordinator, their quarterback that is probably going to get an extension. Some of their players that are free agents. Do you see them being still that 13-1, like whatever their record was? Or do you see them, like, where do you guys see them finishing? You see them finishing first in the NFC East. You see them in the wild card. You see them in the playoffs. Like, where are you guys thinking?
Well, they won't finish first in the NFC East because they got that whole thing where no one repeats. It's like 18 years. I don't know, man. It's going to depend on Howie Roseman and how he's going to handle free agency. I mean, he did a great job this year. Salary cap is going up. I think it's $248 million now, I think, or something like that. $228 million. It's definitely going up. They're going to be a good team. They really are. It's just going to be, what does Jalen do? Does he take the franchise tag, or does he hold out like other quarterbacks?
I don't think he's a free agent.
No, I'm just saying. I think he is.
I think they're working on extending him.
Well, how many years has he been in the league? 3 years?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's on his rookie deal. Yeah, so I think this is going into his 4th.
So then he probably has his 4th and then a 5th year option after that, and then they can stake and franchise and tag him. So I mean, technically he's still on the rookie deal, so they can. He's going to demand a lot of money, man. He's going to demand a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. And that, like, the Vikings are going to run into this. The Saints.
He's got 1 season left on his rookie contract.
Okay. It's I think the GM of the Saints and the Eagles are probably some of the best ones anyways at manipulating things, but they have so much depth position players too that they're going to lose beyond just stars. Like, I don't know how.
I think the offense is still
the franchise
set.
tag, that franchise tag doesn't count against the cap hit, does it? So maybe
yes.
Oh,
yes.
Never mind. Okay. So then they got to get an extension done with him. That's the only way you can shorten, you can like spread out that, dead cap crap.
Bonuses.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
And their offense will still be fine. They have AJ Brown. They still have Devontae Smith. They'll have Jalen Hurts. They still have Goddard.
Yeah,
they still have their weapons.
But I think they have guys on the line that they have one of the best lines in football. And you know what? What's that guy's name? That Johnson guy on the end. He's getting
surgery on core. Core muscle surgery.
How many false starts did he get away with, man? With that early freaking jump.
The right tackle. Yes.
Yeah. Dude, he reminded me of Andy Pettit with his pickoff move, getting away with balks. You know what I mean?
He was smooth.
And how about for Kansas City, man? Their rookie running back.
He's
Pachenko,
good.
Isaiah Pachenko. Was he drafted in the 7th round?
Rutgers,
75 yards,
I think,
and a rushing TD. You know, since 2009, there have only been 2 running backs starting running backs, I guess, in the Super Bowl, where their salaries, well, actually 3 salaries have been over $1 million.
Jesus,
I thought about him.
His base salary was $800,000.
How well he's been playing towards the end of the season. It's like Clyde Edwards-Helaire definitely lost that starting job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where he's been. I think he's been injured. But
it's funny how we look at both these teams, honestly, like going forward. You just expect the Chiefs to pretty much be in the same spot they were the last handful of years, AFC Championship, whatever. Eagles, just like the Bucs, it seems like the NFC is in way more flux than what you got the AFC. You kind of have, the 3 teams with the Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs, but then might have a couple sneak in.
I think of these 2 teams, I think the best team to have a chance to get back, I think, is Kansas City. They have 22 free agents. Their quarterback signed. They're $11 million over the cap, so they have $11 million to play with. Philadelphia is negative $3 million. Plus, they have 20 free agents. I did some homework. The Cowboys have 22 free agents. The Vikings have 17 free agents, and the Saints have 24 free agents.
Yeah, but the Saints ones, which is nice, is only like 10 of them I actually want back.
Yeah.
No, actually, not even that. There was a couple.
You know what? This was a lot of firsts for both of these teams. It was the first time 2 black quarterbacks actually played against each other in a Super Bowl. Wow. The first one was Doug Williams with the Washington Redskins. He was the first one to actually win a Super Bowl. Travis Kelce now has like 16 playoff touchdowns. He's the only tight end to be that high, and I think he's only 6 behind the all-time leading receiver of Jerry Rice for 22 touchdowns in the playoffs. So he's one of the greatest tight ends in football history. He's going to be.
I don't think. Do you guys think Hurts looked nervous? I mean,
no,
not
at
all.
A lot of designed run plays. I don't know if that was intentional, but yeah, he looked.
I think he put it on his shoulders. I think he put it on his shoulders. I mean,
but another problem too. What happened to the Eagles' run game? Like, they didn't run at all in the second half.
True. Yeah, you saw some designs run by Hurts, but nothing really.
They should. I don't know. I mean, I give Kansas City props. They went in that locker room and they're like, "Hey, we need to change it." They did. You guys think Patrick Mahomes is a Hall of Famer if he retires right now?
Absolutely.
2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. What is it? I have it written down. Where was it at? He's got 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, and 2 MVPs in the league.
Absolutely.
Yep, that's
isn't that crazy?
Impressive.
The Chiefs are the next Patriots, like you said. Like they've been there like what 3 of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they've been to 5 straight AFC Championship games.
Think about how jealous I am of that fan base. Like, you think about how hard it is for your team just to get to the NFC division or a championship game, whatever, to even get to the Super Bowl. That's once in a lifetime. I mean, the last 5 years they've been there 3 times.
I mean, you can think about it. These are the notable quarterback, head coach, and quarterback duos. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, 6-3 in the Super Bowl. Terry Bradshaw and Chuck Noll, 4-0. Joe Montana and Bill Walsh, 3-0. Troy Aikman and Jimmy Johnson, 2-0. Eli Manning and Tom Coughlin are 2-0. And now you have Patrick Mahomes and the big red monster Andy Reid at 2-1. So
Yeah.
and he's only 27 years old, man. I mean, he's doing things that I think Tom Brady was the only one to go to 3 Super Bowls in his first couple years. So
He's
so amazing.
talented. He beat him with his legs too a couple of times. That was
I give him props that the third quarter, I think it was, or the fourth quarter, where he took off running. And I'm like, there's no shot he's about to start running on that ankle. And you could tell he just put everything he had and he was running. He was running, man.
Yeah, and him and Kelsey they passed Montana and Rice for a second in Super Bowls. Well, actually playoffs for touchdowns. They have 14. They just passed Montana and Rice, who had 12. The top right now is Brady and Gronkowski at 15. So that duo's gone. So this duo is going to definitely pass that duo.
Let me ask you that, because I talked to Ace about this before the podcast. The NFL is looking into changing the rule on coaches not being able to be hired until after the playoffs, allowing coaches to focus on playoffs and not be interviewed during that whole kind of thing going on. What are your thoughts on that? They said that would at least take a year to put into process, but I agreed with it. I said, I don't think that if I was an owner and I'm in the playoffs, I'd want my coaches to go be interviewed during the playoffs. I want them to focus and get all my players focused, because if I was a coach and I was being interviewed, my focus definitely isn't 100% on the playoffs. Like, I'm thinking like, all right, how do I prepare for this interview? How do I land this job, especially if it's a head coaching job, right?
Yeah.
I think that, I honestly think it should almost be like it opens up when free agency opens, like maybe a couple days before that. When free agency opens, then a coaching market. Just like Vic Fangio, he's the defensive coordinator now for Miami. He was working with the Eagles the last 2 weeks to help them prepare for Kansas City. And if the Eagles would have won last night, Fangio would have got a freaking Super Bowl ring.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
So I think there should be a time period for that.
Yeah, because he was the Broncos.
Broncos, and then he's now going to be the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator, and he was working with the Eagles the last 2 weeks.
Oh, what a weird!
It's crazy because technically he's not the Miami Dolphins coordinator yet until the beginning of the next season. But
yeah, they got to put a timestamp. I think free agency period makes perfect sense. Or
I think before free agency though, because I think a lot of these coaches have like an influence on some players to come to those teams.
Yeah, I agree. There's got to be something done. Same with like full-time refs or whatever the crap, because the two of the Eagles' top coordinators, like both those guys were interviewing for other positions during the biggest game of their lives.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. You know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen in football and defense now? You're going to see it's going to be like the strike zone for baseball. You can only hit guys between the chest and the knees, a little bit above the knees. So because like now you see these guys getting ankle injuries, and Mahomes almost got taken out again. So they're already looking at the one that injured Tony Pollard, where you pull him down and you fall in her leg. They're looking at those, but at the same token, you can't control what's going on in the game like that when you're going full speed. So what are you going to do? Eject the player after he injures a player? I mean, it doesn't fix the situation.
Just got the Bleacher Report notification that the Raiders plan on releasing Derek Carr.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, like you said, Ty, he got the MVP in the season and the Super Bowl MVP. He's the first player since Kurt Warner did it in 1999. He's also the first quarterback to lead the NFL in passing yards and defeat the number 1 pass defense in the Super Bowl.
Kurt Warner won a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
With the Rams.
That's right. I was guessing the Rams. Yeah, we have a couple of teams here listed that we want to go over. We have 6 teams, and we have a couple quarterbacks that we have listed here, and we want to play this game where we say the first team, and you say their best fit for quarterback this offseason is either to draft or one of these guys that we have. We will start with the New York Jets, who have reached out to the Packers and talked possibly about what it would look like if they wanted to trade for Aaron Rodgers. And the Packers did come out and say they are open to dealing Rodgers if he wants to leave. But the Jets obviously can look towards the draft for CJ Stroud, Richardson, Bryce Young. You have Jimmy G out there in the open market. You have Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr being released, who his QB coach just got signed by the Jets. Daniel Jones. What do you think? And this is for you too. Well, my opinion too. What do you guys think the Jets' best option here? Do you think they roll with Mike White, keep Zach Wilson? Like, what are the options here?
Go ahead, Ace. You want to go first?
You can go first.
If I'm the GM of the Jets, I'm going Baker Mayfield or I'm going Jimmy G. I'm going to keep it cheap.
Dang.
And I'm going to, because you already drafted a quarterback, why just throw him to the Wolves? Maybe let him sit behind somebody for a couple years. But I'm going Jimmy G or I'm going Baker Mayfield or something like that. You're never going to get, I don't think you're ever going to get an Aaron Rodgers or a Carr or a big name like that, where you're going to be paying them $35+ million.
I like the Jimmy G, actually. Initially, I was thinking Mike White. Like, honestly, they might get a backup to complement him, but yeah.
And that's another thing. Roll with Mike White.
Yeah. I could see, but that's the thing is, it's like, at what point do you cut ties with Wilson then? Like, do you give him another? Does the coaching staff have to give him another shot because of where you drafted him too?
The problem is if you keep drafting quarterbacks and making changes, then you become like Cleveland, then you become like Denver, then you become like, and these teams don't win. So you eventually got to stick with one.
I agree. I think I like the Mike White option. I think I'm looking at Zach Wilson trades here, even if it's a 3rd or 2nd round pick. I'm thinking maybe I get Aaron Rodgers and I give him Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson can fight it off with Jordan Love because they have 2 first-round quarterbacks they can kind of play with in Green Bay and see which one fits their scheme. And I like the whole Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets, maybe even giving Mike White a little bit of knowledge that he could pass on to him, even if it's a year or 2 years. I think it's a good option. I think it's a little better than the Raiders, in my opinion.
See, the thing is, though, is with quarterbacks nowadays, there's so much pressure on them. I remember when you drafted a quarterback and he sat on the bench for like 3-4 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he learned. He held clipboards and he learned. Now they throw these guys to the wolves. You threw that Wilson kid into a team that was absolutely trash, and you're going to blame him for all the things that went wrong. I mean, that's not fair to the quarterbacks. I don't care. Any quarterback, Dak, Hurts, anybody. When you throw him to the wolves like that with a bad team, he's going to be the guy. He's the guy that falls on the sword.
I agree with you, but I also think if you haven't showed me anything, any spark that has led me to think this guy can be my face in my franchise, I mean, he really hasn't done much for that.
We would have to do our homework. What's the offensive line ranked in the NFL? What's the running game ranked in the NFL? What are the receivers ranked in the NFL? And what's the offensive coordinator? How many different offensive coordinators has he had? He's
got great offensive weapons.
They do seem to be deficient. I think the Vikings absolutely kill the Jets this year if Wilson is quarterbacking them over Mike White. You
think about this too, Dad. You think about Zach Wilson and those weapons. He couldn't get the job done. You throw Mike White in, who was like what, a 5th round, 6th round pick, and that all of a sudden that team's winning games.
But Mike White's been on how many different teams? He's been around for a while.
Has he?
Wilson.
Mike White's not.
Yes,
I don't
he was with the Cowboys too. But perfect example. You took Stafford out of Detroit. That was a horrible organization. You put him with the Rams. He wins the Super Bowl.
Maybe Zach Wilson goes to a new setup and he wins. You know, that's what I'm saying.
I think whoever the GM that got fired for the Jets for drafting him, I don't think they knew what the heck they were doing. I don't think this dude should have been ready to play right away. And when you draft a guy 2nd overall, you kind of have to, which sucks.
And that's the problem. The guaranteed money is ruining the sport. You're paying these guys guaranteed money of $20, $30, $40 million guaranteed. You can't sit them. And that's the problem. This kid still has breast milk on his freaking lip. You know what I mean? He's young in the game. He's a greenhorn. He shouldn't be out there. And that's the problem. That's the problem with these quarterbacks. You know, it's not fair because it's the coach, the offensive coordinator, and the quarterback that fall on the sword.
I think they plan on keeping him around to see what happens, but this next team is very interesting because they have a lot of options here. The Colts, who haven't even gotten a head coach yet, they had 3 rounds of interviews, which technically was like the first time anyone's ever done that. There's usually 2 rounds. They have
Did the Eagles offensive coordinator go there?
They are. It's what's the word I'm looking for? I wrote it down. It's like they're finalizing it, but that was during the playoffs, so I don't know exactly what that looks like. If they get him, that's huge.
Because he refused to talk about it yesterday.
They have a higher draft pick. Oh. Matt Ryan says he still has plenty of football left, but those legs didn't look like he had plenty of football left last year. They have good O-line pieces, but it didn't necessarily look like it last year. They have their running back. They have at least one receiver. They can draft the receiver. They have a defense, right? So my personal opinion, this is tough because I would love to see like a Jimmy G in the Colts situation, but also they have a higher pick. I mean, why not? You don't necessarily have veteran receivers. You can go get a young quarterback and build around him like a CJ Stroud. I like a CJ Stroud to the Indianapolis.
That would be big. He's a supposed to be super talented. Obviously, I think they have to draft somebody. Maybe you keep. I don't know Ryan's situation. Maybe he's there for this year
as a backup.
And what do they have? They have the second pick, right?
I don't know what they have. They have the third, maybe.
Because there's mocks number where they 4, trade up.
Yeah, they have the number 4 pick.
I'm gonna say they take a quarterback. I'm gonna say they take Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or the kid from Kentucky.
Because that's good too. Because you think about it, they tried Wentz, didn't necessarily work. They tried Ryan, didn't work. So it's like, all right, now you draft one and you see if that works.
Here you go again. This is another perfect example. Now you're gonna have a new coach, a new offensive coordinator, and a new quarterback. Do you ride the veteran Matt Ryan and leave this kid behind to learn? Or do you throw him to the wolves and guess what? The coach is going to fall on the sword again.
In this situation, I think I would draft a quarterback, have him and Matt Ryan. I wouldn't say compete like out to the media, but as a coach, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to let them both see who finds the playbook the quickest. If Matt Ryan looks good, I think I'd play him the first 2 games, kind of like Ritter did with Mariota this year. Kenny Pickett did with Trubisky. If Matt Ryan isn't winning, like if he goes like 1-3 or something, then I'm like, all right. I drafted this guy in the first round. Let me throw him in there.
See, the problem with Matt Ryan is he's long in the tooth. So you know what? He's a pocket quarterback. He's not a quarterback that's going to be mobile. And when you have an offensive line and you don't have the weapons that you used to have in Indianapolis, you can't go through all your reads in 4 or 5 seconds. You got to go through them faster. And Matt's not that guy anymore.
And they need to get their offensive scheme going too, because they didn't use Mac as much as they should have last year.
And they got that Jonathan Taylor.
That's what I meant. I meant Jonathan Taylor. They didn't use him terribly. They used him terribly last year.
I don't know, and I don't know if Ryan's going to retire, so they might have to just suck it up with him for this year, draft a quarterback, and hope he can learn under him.
And let's face it, that wasn't a good opportunity for any quarterback there. They fire Frank Wright, they bring in freaking Jeff Saturday, and it was just a mess there. Mm-hmm. That's the new Detroit Lions of football. It's a mess. It really is.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Speaking of a potential mess,
Tampa Bay Buccaneers on paper have a good setup here. They need a quarterback. They're going to be looking for a new offense coordinator. Perfect time to bring in a new quarterback. I don't think the draft is for them, obviously, because they made the playoffs, kind of later pick. I think Jimmy G is a perfect fit here. In my opinion, I know I said Jimmy G to the Colts. I like him also to the Bucs. Like out of those 2 teams, I like those are the 2 teams I would pick for him. But I think Jimmy G playing in San Francisco warm weather, Tampa Bay warm weather, him going down there with good wide receivers, good setup. I like that option there.
Yeah,
that's another Daniel Jones to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that's another team that's going to probably get a veteran on the low. You got it, because I don't think they're going to swing for the fences and get Rodgers or a Carr, somebody with that high of a contract.
There's a lot of talks of them having a quarterback that bridges over to that next quarterback kind of thing. Like it's just temporarily fill.
Yeah. Maybe Baker. Honestly, Baker Mayfield might not be a bad option. He's a little more mobile than Brady, probably even good than Garoppolo too.
Baker's market's going to be interesting. Baker's market's going to be interesting.
See,
we're talking.
Jameis Winston might be traded too. Jameis Winston might be traded too, or cut. That's another option.
Jameis is going to the XFL. No,
that's a t-shirt.
I just think Tampa Bay and the Raiders are your 2 teams that are playoff ready now. I think that's where you're going to get your big name quarterback. I think those where the dominoes are going to fall. It's going to be either Carr to Tampa Bay or Rodgers to Tampa Bay, and vice versa. I think Rodgers has a good chance of going to the Raiders as well. Carolina already had Baker. Maybe a Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill's another one that could be on the move.
You think Wentz is probably going to be cut? Where is he going to go?
He's not going to be a starter.
Do you want to read the rest of the teams, Ty, just so he has an idea?
Yeah, I have the Saints, Raiders, and Texans. Those are the last 3 I put on here. And
the Titans were an interesting one, though, Chris. I thought to add them because I didn't know what Tannehill.
Because if they cut Tannehill, they save money. The Raiders is interesting because I don't know who goes to the Raiders. I don't know. I don't know who. I mean, there's nothing really rumoring around. I mean, sure,
I can see Lamar going. Lamar, imagine Lamar there.
So a lot of teams are starting to ask about his trade. I mean, because there's nothing's moving there. Nothing's moving there, right? So they can sign a certain franchise tag where he can get traded. And there's starting to be a ball moving in that direction. But I mean, the Raiders. I mean, will Rodgers go to the Raiders? He's doing this whole dark thing, and a lot of people are being skeptical about that all of a sudden.
I think Rodgers is the type of guy that is honorable, or that what's the word? He's I can't think of the word right now. He's going to stick with the Packers, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen.
Unless something irks him, he's that type of guy. He's sensitive to the point where I think he wants to be around some comfortability. I don't think he wants a change. The Raiders,
Ace had
Devontae
a good
helps, but
Ace had a good point though. If the Tennessee Titans cut Tannehill,
Rodgers
did build a house there last year. That rumor was spoiling, but it's like, who is even on?
Yeah.
Who's even on? Besides Henry.
See, this is the thing you guys got to worry about. Tennessee Titans, teams like the Saints. The Tennessee's negative 28 million for the cap.
It's nothing anymore.
And I understand it doesn't mean anything. You can get underneath it, but when you bring in a quarterback that is going to have a dead cap hit at 99 million, is going to be making over 50 million next year.
Yeah,
there's no way you can get out of that hole. You would have to flip almost $70 million to bring in just a quarterback.
Because like a lot of people are saying now, like if the Saints get Carr, they can easily make a contract now where like it doesn't even affect them. I still think the Saints land Derek Carr because even though the media blew up the fact that he declined their offer as if they were saying that as if he didn't want to go there, they're saying him and the Saints are still linked very highly together, that they still like each other. And a lot of Ian Rappaport was talking on the Pat McAfee show saying this is actually a little better because now he doesn't have to worry about the contract that the Raiders had for him. He can kind of make his own contract with the Saints. But I still have a little fear that a team might come out of nowhere and offer him a lot of money. But I still think Carr lands with the Saints, and now we still have our first 3 round picks, so that's kind of nice. Don't have to trade.
God, I have no.
Maybe the Saints were like, hey, like listen, like maybe Derek Carr was like, yo, what's up with Michael Thomas? Like, how can I help? Okay, if I get cut, can we keep Michael Thomas? It's all coming into place.
Carr to try to get more bids anyway. So
Carr's probably like, screw the Raiders. I'm not giving them a draft pick. I want out.
No, the Giants have $42 million in cap space. With all those weapons they have $42 million left. So I can see them getting a decent quarterback. Or do they bring Daniel Jones back? Washington Commanders.
Do you think Jones is back in the Giants? If you're the GM, do you bring him back?
Well, I think he's back. I think Saquon's gone.
I think you bring him back at least for 2. Like you have to at least. Like I mean, what's the chances? Like if you roll in that back with like a different quarterback and not, I don't know.
I think he's getting 4 years, 150-ish.
With like it should be a 2-year contract. What, Daniel Jones? I don't want Daniel Jones.
He had a good year.
I know he had a good year, but I haven't seen a lot of good years.
Saquon's going to get burned. He won $16 million a year, and that's not going to happen. It's just the running back market.
Someone's going to give it. Someone's going to give it to him.
I don't know.
What about the lowly Texans? Because they won the last game of the year, they now have the 2nd pick in the draft.
I think they draft Bryce Young because the Bears had the first pick overall, and I don't think they're taking a quarterback. And I think someone's going to trade up to that first. Like Indy, you imagine Indy trades up to the first pick?
I can see Houston trading out of there.
The Bears are in a great
shot. They need a quarterback.
Draft picks.
I can see the Bears trading back, and I can see Houston trade. I can see the Colts jumping to number 1 to get a quarterback.
But why would Houston drop back when they are in desperate need of a quarterback?
Because they have 2 quarterbacks there that they like. They've been using. And my thing is too is there's a lot of free agent quarterbacks that they could get.
Who's the second quarterback?
They have Mills and that other guy.
They need a lot of help too. Honestly,
they have $37 million in cap space. Maybe they pick up a Jameis Winston.
Maybe they pick up a Lamar.
They should play the Bears play a couple years ago where you end up you got a guy you think can work maybe with Fields, just acquire draft picks. Do whatever you can to get draft picks for that team because they are bad so many places.
That's a team where someone's going to go to end their career because let's face it, they're not going to make the playoffs. Their best receiver their best receiver wants out.
Baker Mayfield?
I don't think Matt Ryan's going to another team.
No,
I think
say Houston, which has a second pick, if they drop say to 5 or even in the top 10 to 8 or something, they get more draft picks where they could draft a quarterback in the top 10 and then have additional draft picks to do offensive linemen or defense.
If you drop back, you're not taking a quarterback.
That's not true though. Maybe their quarterback. Maybe they have hope that their quarterback will be there. Like they don't want one of these top 2 guys. Maybe they have their eyes set on someone else.
Somebody's going to correct. Somebody will reach too. Honestly.
They have 4 quarterbacks projected to go in the top 10.
Oh, 100%. This is a high quarterback class. Remember last year there was 1 quarterback in the first round. This is gonna be so different this year.
I'm sorry. If I'm a GM, I'm not taking quarterback in the first round no more. If they're overpaid.
Yep.
Yeah, but stats have proven that like it's the last quarterback to get drafted in like the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round of the pick that's been like a very good quarterback has been Dak Prescott.
I'm not drafting a quarterback. I'm gonna get all the junk off the junk heap.
Russell,
look at all these names that are out there.
Jimmy G.
Yeah, no, I'd rather sell my franchise.
Yeah.
No, but I'm not drafting a quarterback, and I'm not drafting a running back in the first round anymore. I'm really not. I'll find one.
I don't care what the Saints do at QB. That's a lie. I do. I just want that running back from Tulane so bad. In the 4th, 5th, whatever round it is. I haven't seen the Saints draft like an LSU or Tulane or any kind of Louisiana guy in my whole life that I've been a Saints fan.
And I would love to see Clyde Edwards too.
Somebody.
Clyde. This would be a good time to maybe segue into the 4 teams?
Yes, Ace. Read off your questions that you had.
So 4 teams that didn't make the playoffs this year that get in next year, and 4 teams that did that don't get in next year.
Detroit Lions is definitely one of them.
Oh God, yeah, of course.
So consensus on some. You want us to pick 4 teams that made the playoffs this year that won't make the playoffs next year?
Yep.
Philadelphia Eagles.
I honestly think the Vikings. Sadly.
No, the Vikings will win that division one more year.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Eagles. Did Miami? I don't know. I don't think they make it next year. I think they made the playoffs, didn't they? Or am I completely?
I need to
Chargers. They're getting a new offensive coordinator. Do they fall?
Chargers, Ravens made the playoffs. I think we agree the Bills,
Jacksonville,
Chiefs, Bengals, Jacksonville. I could see them.
So this is who made the playoffs this year: Jacksonville, Chargers, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Buffalo, Miami, Philly, San Francisco, Dallas, Giants, Minnesota, Seattle. I don't think Seattle makes it next year. That's 3 for me.
Giants, Seattle, Bucs. And the last one,
I think Baltimore makes it if Lamar's there. I think Baltimore doesn't make it if Lamar's not. But I also think that they're starting to play this game because I think they'll just roll with Huntley if Lamar doesn't come back.
So then teams that I think I guess real quick for me, 4 teams I think that can make it in. Detroit. I think the Browns. The Browns literally crossed my mind. I don't know why. Honestly,
yeah, full year with Deshaun. Yeah, I can see that.
Sadly, yeah.
I'm gonna go on a limb. The Denver Broncos.
I like that too. I like that.
I'm gonna say the Lions. I'm gonna say the Saints. I'm gonna say the Rams.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna say the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You gotta do 4, you said?
I like that.
I'm going Detroit.
I think a full year with Kenny Pickett is going to turn. I think they'll be back. I think they'll be there. They went 9-8 this year.
Defense again, or
they went 9-8 with a Kenny Pickett that didn't even get to play the full season. And I think the Rams. I think Matthew Stafford comes back, and I think the Rams get together, and everyone's going to sleep on them. I think the Saints get a quarterback. I think the Saints get a quarterback, and they'll be the best team in the NFC South. And I think
I got 6 of them. I got 6 teams,
and I think Detroit gets in there. I think Detroit.
I got 6 that I think that can get in next year.
And I agree. I think Denver will make. I think Denver will flip it.
I'm going Detroit, Denver, the Raiders, the Saints, the Lions, and Carolina.
Ooh. Why the Raiders? Who do you think they're getting?
I think the Raiders. I think they're going to get Aaron Rodgers.
If the Raiders get Aaron Rodgers, I say yes. But if they don't, like I don't even know who's going to go there. Carolina is interesting because I like Carolina's coach they got. I think that they're the richest owner they have in the NFL. I just don't know what they're doing at QB. Is Sam Darnold their QB? You know, they have PJ Walker, Teddy Bridgewater, Baker Mayfield. Like, they're starting to have this huge list of quarterbacks. They brought Cam Newton back. Like, I don't know who the next quarterback there is going to be. Because Sam Darnold looks good, and then
they could trade up maybe too. I don't know.
Yeah, because they're what? They're top 15 at least.
Yeah.
It makes sense to stay with Darnold this year if you whatever as a bridge quarterback.
I think they
don't know.
cut everybody, keep Darnold and draft one. But here's the thing with
Yeah.
Carolina though. Carolina drafted Coro last year and he got hurt, so they didn't even get to see him.
He got hurt.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Here's my 5 that don't make it next year that we're in this year.
I like this.
The Jags, the Bucs, Seattle, the Giants, and Cincinnati.
I don't like that one.
I think Cincinnati has a lot of holes in the offensive line, and they have to sign their quarterback. I just think that's the team that's going to fall out, and the Raiders or Denver get in.
I do think the Jags are getting a little too much hype, but I do think the Jags are turning it around, and I could see them making playoffs again.
Yeah, that team seems like they should. They seem like the Lions, where you feel
They're
like
getting
there's
their
some hope
identity.
there.
They're getting their
Yeah.
identity.
Lions are winning that division next year.
I agree,
You
100%.
just said the Vikings were a few minutes ago. I'm going to play it.
I agree. I think
I just have a good feeling about Lions. I just have a good feeling about them.
You imagine a hot take here. You imagine head coach. He likes Jared Goff. You imagine the owner and the GM are like, we don't care if you like Goff. We're not bringing him back. We're drafting the quarterback.
That would be a step backwards.
And they just plummet.
That would be a step backwards. That would be devastating.
And Goff goes somewhere and he just dominates.
Yeah, they'd curse themselves again.
Oh, I mean, if they did
Is
that,
Jared Goff a free agent?
No.
Yeah,
but I think he's got a cap hit of like 35 mil. I can see if they let him go, I can see him going to a Tampa Bay or to the Raiders.
Tampa Bay would be huge for him.
Or to the Saints.
I would take him. I liked him.
I like Goff.
I like Goff.
Goff needs a good offensive line, so maybe I don't know. I couldn't see the Raiders. That's a large
in 2023,
contract.
Jared Goff will earn a base salary of $20 million, roster bonus of $5 million, while carrying a cap hit of $30 million and dead cap value of $10 million.
That's not too bad.
He's a free agent in 2025. So the question is, do they keep him or do they try and get rid of him before?
I think you keep him and extend him.
I see no reason why to get rid of Goff. I mean, you guys were.
Think
about the year before they'd 3 wins, and then you almost make playoffs. What happens next year?
He was one of the hottest quarterbacks at that one stretch when they were winning.
The first 6 weeks in the NFL, if they had a defense and went 5-1, he was in your MVP talks. I guarantee it.
And they're going to draft. They're going to go defense with this draft. I think they have 2 first-round picks again.
They need it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're loaded at running back. They're loaded at they need to fix the offensive line. They're loaded at receiver. They have a good no, they don't have a good tight end anymore. Thanks to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was weird. That's why I thought maybe the Packers would never trade Rodgers in the division, but I almost thought the Lions could swing at a big QB. There's really not that many out there though. Like I think Goff is serviceable enough for them.
If Minnesota comes out and you see Minnesota is eyeing a possible Lamar Jackson trade,
do it.
Would you do that and then get rid of Kirk Cousins?
Honestly,
you would have to
said do it, but I don't know if he's going to work within the offense that
Kirk Cousins to Houston and Kirk Cousins to Houston. You would trade Kirk Cousins to Houston. It's a 3-team trade, right? Baltimore would get some picks. You guys would get Lamar, and then Kirk Cousins.
Baltimore would get Dak Prescott. Dallas would get Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. Is it just me, or does Lamar have a ceiling as a pocket quarterback?
MVP.
So
been the playoffs.
MVP because of his legs, and it was exciting his first year.
Who doesn't run? You know what I mean? Who doesn't run? He didn't even win that in his first year. He didn't even win that in his first year.
I'm just seeing a Vikings uniform. That offense, like they built the entire
him and
offense
JJ
around Jefferson.
Him and JJ.
Yeah,
but he might steal. He might steal potential from JJ though, with all the running he does.
He'll be doing the gritty.
He has a big tight end. He does have a big tight end, which he could target over the middle.
He likes Mark Andrews.
Think the Vikings stick with Cousins for another year, and I hope they draft somebody in the later rounds.
I think you have to though. Isn't like guaranteed money for Cousins?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another thing too, Ty. I don't know if any other team wants that contract.
Yeah.
Similar to Rodgers, it's not that high, but it is kind of ridiculous. At least until next year, I think.
Let me look up when Kurt is.
That's a fair question though. Kris, do you have any NBA stuff? I don't.
No.
Okay, I know.
So
Well,
he's a
plus
free
we drove
agent.
an
He's a
NBA
free
last
agent 2024. So this is his last season with you guys. Let me ask you this question,
Okay.
because I don't
Okay.
mind. I don't necessarily mind Kirk Cousins. I think statistically he's been a good quarterback. I just don't, and I know
I think
we'll
this is
disagree
it for
with
him,
this.
though.
I don't think
Yeah.
he's gonna get to a Super Bowl. If Cousins gets you to the playoffs this year and you guys don't get to the Super Bowl, if he doesn't get to the playoffs, like no matter like, what does Cousins have to do this year to be like, all right, let's re-sign him? Or are you kind of like, no matter what, I want to kind of find our new quarterback, young receiving core,
Accept a pay cut. Accept a pay cut so we can re-sign Jefferson, or
Well, he's gonna be a free agent, so he's gonna have to
The
take a low deal
Vikings-
then.
unless that Quezzy guy signs him to an extension, our new GM signs him to a long-term extension, knowing that we want to keep him till the time he retires, and it's somewhat of a friendly deal. But again, you backload money, you got to freaking pay that eventually, which is what the Packers are
Yeah.
running into.
Do you want Cousins
Cousins-
for a long
no.
time?
No, because I think there's enough quarterbacks. Like I'm starting to believe in Chris's mindset, sadly, where it's like, just flip these guys out after their rookie contract, get another quarterback. You cannot build a team around a quarterback that's taken up 25% of your roster, like
Yeah.
salary.
But
You
the thing
can't do
is
that.
Kirk Cousins played it smart. Like he got guaranteed money at Washington. He got guaranteed money with the Vikings.
Oh, he got
So
the
maybe-
franchise tag like
maybe-
what, 4 times?
But maybe he comes out and he
Yeah.
says, you know what? He's like, okay, yeah, I'll take
Take
15, 16, 18, 20 million a year. I'll take a
Take a
pay
home
cut
run.
so you bring weapons in. He's at the end of his career, basically. Maybe he is like that. Maybe he will. But the problem is like Ace just said, you get these quarterbacks, you give them all this big money and you're stuck with them.
Yeah,
Like we're stuck with Dak. If Dak doesn't have a good year this year, guess what? He's got to go. You got to get out of that contract. He's got to go.
I would take Dak in New Orleans. He would look good in that black.
You can
and
have
gold.
him. Go ahead. You can take him. It'll be year 8 for him. Year 8, and he hasn't been to a Super Bowl yet.
and then,
Another Tony Romo.
and then we got to worry about Jefferson getting signed next year too. I wonder what
Jefferson's
Rudy's-
gonna break the bank. He's gonna
Yeah,
be
I
the
wonder
highest
what
paid
Rudy's-
receiver in the league. He is, and he
Yeah.
deserves it. I mean, he's the best right now.
Yeah, that's why
just think.
Kirk's gonna have to take the hometown deal if it's gonna work out.
You look at the organizations that are
Sadly.
going to flip the next couple of years, man. You got Cincinnati who's going to sign Burrow, who said he'll take a team-friendly deal, but that's all talk. That's him. That's not his agent. And you got Justin Herbert, who's going to need a deal. You got these guys, man. It's just like
Yes, I forgot about that too.
same with the Eagles, man. You got to sign Hurts eventually. You got to sign Hurts,
yeah.
or guess what? You got to go find another quarterback.
Yep. Ty, you got a good GM. I'm curious to see who you guys land with a quarterback. 'cause I
I'm
think
happy
that'll
with
be-
Carr and going to the draft to build around him, even if it's just for 2 years. So I mean, we're not losing anything but money. You know,
Mhm.
we didn't trade for him. So if not, I could still draft the quarterback in the second round. But I'm curious to see what the Saints do
Look,
too.
I'm sorry though. Eventually, like when you look at these teams, you have the Bills, you have the Chargers, the Vikings, the Packers, the Titans, Jags, Buccaneers, and Saints. When you're more than 20 million negative on the cap, eventually you're going to have to start like we got to start turning this around. We got
Hey,
to
it's
start
less than
flipping this
last
the
year
other
for
way.
us, though. Less than last year. We're getting there.
I know. I'm just saying, but eventually you got to stop signing the 1-year deals and you got to let this ride out. You got to start rebuilding this, and you have to break it down so you can get on the other side of the salary cap and figure it
Salary
out.
cap's not real.
Adam,
Salary cap's
speaking
not
of
even
that,
real.
Well,
mean,
yeah,
Cincinnati,
Adam Thielen has to
34 mil.
renegotiate. Adam Thielen has to renegotiate some stuff in the next week or so, or else they gotta figure out what to do with his contract.
See, Jerry Jones gives his players land. He gives them opportunities to start businesses, like oil fields and stuff like that. That's how he gets them to sign for those small deals.
He must somehow. God, no kidding. Work that into these guys' contract later on, especially the quarterbacks.
You guys have anything else?
Yeah, just that the Eagles scored 35 points. It's the highest point total to lose a Super Bowl.
Ooh, that's a rough stat. Ouch.
Look, I
Cry,
honestly,
Eagles, cry.
look, I saw that song today, and I wish I had the lyrics right now. It's on my phone. I would sing that.
Oh yeah.
But my thing is look, I don't hate the Eagles.
Hey,
The fans.
I
Did you see the
some-
fans?
can I
Did you
some-
see the fans?
If we think about it, did the Eagles have a better season than the Saints? At the end of the
Yeah.
day, what they accomplish?
Yes.
Did they win a
Yes.
Super Bowl?
Left,
They
Did
had
they
a
win
better
a-
season
did-
in
did- did
Dallas.
they
They
win
had
a
a
Super
better
Bowl?
season than Saints. They had a
at
better
the end of the
season
day-
in Minnesota.
At the end of the day, who beat the Eagles? New Orleans Saints, baby.
So did Dallas, but that doesn't matter. You know what I hope for? I hope for a Super Bowl Sunday where my jersey that I wear actually means something. That's what I hope for.
I said that to my girlfriend yesterday. I said, Lakin, there's gonna be one day I'm gonna actually eventually watch this game. It's gonna be my team.
Yeah. It's funny. You and Noah went how many years? You guys went how many years before you saw Michigan beat Ohio State? Now we saw it back-to-back years. Noah's never seen the Cowboys get past the second round of the playoffs. So it's got to happen eventually.
I bet I was one play away. One flag away.
Coming up, it's gonna be
close, Ty.
It's gonna be very, very interesting. What happens with free agency? What happens with the draft? And and then baseball starting.
Drafts. I'll trust your mock drafts more than mine because I don't know how much I'm going to be diving into some of these player scouting profiles.
It's just going to be interesting, man. How many quarterbacks go in the first round? That's setting your franchise up to fail right there. It really is.
I mean, stat wise, it's not.
No, stat wise, it's financials, man. Finances win you Super Bowls, and man, you just can't. You can't do it like that.
Why Derek Carr's going to Saints?
We'll see. It's gonna be interesting. He wanted to stick it. He wanted to stick it to the Raiders, and he did. So we'll see what happens. He didn't want them to get any compensation at all.
I hope he doesn't even visit any other teams. I hope tomorrow we see Derek Carr visiting with the Saints again. I'd cry. I just want to know what the Saints offered him because you're negative $58 million. So what price range could you even go? Again, and this is why I don't necessarily agree with the salary cap because every inside podcast I listen to, they're like, listen, literally that means nothing. All they have to do is give him a 4-year contract and half of it be sign-in bonus or something where it doesn't even affect the cap. But I'm not smart enough to I really truly understand any of that.
You just have to
all file our taxes. We all file our taxes and add a couple extra zeros, but that does mean something.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll say this.
A couple of zeros off, actually. That's what you should
do. Being negative 70 last year, if the Saints are able to pull off keeping Michael Thomas and getting Derek Carr, you got to give it to Mickey Loomis. That man, he's doing my taxes.
I understand that, but to be negative 70 to flip all that into the positive and not make the playoffs, man, we were close. Right.
We were close. Right. We were close.
Not right. That's not how you build your team. But we'll see.
We're not building a team. We're building a dynasty.
We'll start working on mock drafts. We'll start talking baseball because the baseball classic's going to start in a few days, and then we'll roll with it. We'll keep rolling.
Well, we hope you all have enjoyed this podcast and our hot take on the Eagles, the Chiefs, and just so much more going into this offseason. I cannot wait for the offseason. It's one of my favorite times of the year, especially around that time when the draft is about to start and the free agencies open up and you can just boom, boom,
can't wait.
Boom, 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 boom.
Can't wait.
When does free agency start? Because technically the Saints can't sign Derek Carr yet, right?
If they cut him, I don't know. See, I don't know how that works. We have to get a GM on here because if they cut him, I think he's a free agent. I don't know, man. I really don't.
When does free agency start?
I don't know.
They have to release him in a couple days, or else they owe him a lot of money. So
40 plus million guaranteed.
They are releasing him.
Free agency starts in March.
Hey, that's dumb.
I think. I don't know.
It's right there. Well, we hope y'all love our talks here because we love you guys. And let's ride. Broncos Nation 2024. Here we go. 2023, 2024.
They're gonna draft the right tackle and they're gonna be in the playoffs next year.
And the receivers come back.
Mark it.
But hey, I hope you all enjoy your wonderful Monday night and have a wonderful, blessed, heavenly day and week. Peace.